Welcome to Advanced Patient Care, the exclusive podcast series by Vance Thompson Vision. We'll head on into the next segment, which is going to be a little bit more about how it works in the clinic, what it's all in detail. Okay. So we identified the problem, we found the solution, we think, and we were able to engineer it and get it set up. So, Kelly, can you maybe walk us through what a typical patient flow is without GreenMan?
Yeah, so typically patients come in, they get worked up by a technician. They go through multiple topography scans, biometry, which is measuring the eye to determine what lens implant they need. And during this time, once they've done most of their testing, the staff, the tech who's ever working them up will get them dilated and they load them in the room and mark them ready for the doctor to see. And it's about an hour, I would say, long process on average.
And then, how about, you've been using GreenMan in the clinic, and where have you guys been putting GreenMan?
We put that between the testing and dilation. And so instead of getting dilated during the testing portion, our staff is going to run the visual or the OCTs first, MAC and nerve. And as long as the macular health is normal and the patient's otherwise seeing well enough to participate with GreenMan, which I'm assuming we'll get into in just a little bit, they hold off on dilation. And then we have multiple techs now trained to run the patient through the GreenMan simulation. And then they'll dilate the patient, and then I'll go in with them and talk with them. So it does extend their visit by maybe another 15 to 30 minutes if we're adding in dilation. But overwhelmingly, I haven't had many patients, be upset that they had to wait that much longer. If anything, they're happier that they got to experience that.
Yeah, so so it's sort of another diagnostic part of the experience. And like you said, it adds about 15 minutes because they're going to get dilated anyways, for the cataract eval. Brandon, can you explain a little bit of the like what it is? Can you explain in words what the GreenMan experience is for patients? We're going to put a link in to those that are watching so you can kind of see a little demo of it. But Brandon, can you explain it in words?
Yeah, in the first part, we kind of alluded to the fact that this is a simulation environment, right? But how do we do it? Well, we built the software to run off of commonly available VR headsets. We are on our second version of hardware. We've gotten to be kind of cordless or wireless now. We're using the Oculus or Meta Quest 3. And a patient will put this on their head and be immersed in a fully 360-degree environment that's interactive for them too. What we would have a technician do is obtain their biometry. And the most important thing for us is, how much astigmatism is on their cornea. And one of the keys is, well, the astigmatic cylinder in their present refraction doesn't necessarily equal their corneal cylinder or anticipated postoperative astigmatic refraction. And so what we're trying to do is estimate uncorrected, what will their visual profile look like with that degree of corneal cylinder. So we're using that, we're putting that data in, and then we're allowing patients to see a variety of lens options that and what those visual results could be expected for their given corneal cylinder. So we can take them through a monofocal profile in both eyes at distance. We can take them through an extended depth of focus profile or a multifocal profile. And right now, all of these are kind of generic lens profiles. We don't have brand name lenses because at the end of the day, surgeons will choose to use any number of lenses. What we want to do is approximate the visual result of that category of lens. We can also treat each eye independently, as I alluded to before. So if somebody wants to see what monovision, right eye distance, left eye close would look like, we can do that. And with a click of a button, we can swap it to the other side. We have a few different environments. So a patient might choose to, pick up a cookbook in the kitchen environment and look around and see what different length where they might have to hold something based on a defocus curve that we've obtained and put into the system. And then we can also transport them into the second environment where they can be seated in the driver's seat of a car at night with moving cars coming past them. to demonstrate what that visual profile from a halo, a multifocal lens or extended depth lens or uncorrected astigmatism can look like. And so what we really want to do is tell them, this is a visual approximation. Pay attention to the relative differences between these options to get a better idea of what these might do for you.
So to summarize, so patient sits down in chair, we put a VR headset on them, and then a technician, they're all of a sudden, boom, like they're instantly in a room with a computer, a cookbook, it's an apartment or a car. And the technician says, hey, here's what it would be like if you had a monofocal lens after cataract surgery, and we're using the patient's own astigmatism to help guide this that we take from their biometry. And then they get a sense of what, blurry means, like we mentioned earlier, both at distance and up close without glasses on, because they had a diopter of astigmatism, they got a regular lens, they're going to be, need glasses to touch things up. Or if you put them in a toric or a light adjustable lens or an extended depth of focus or a multifocal, we can show them all those options, and they can, like you said, test drive it and go, okay, here's option 1, 2, 3, up to infinity, and we can do monovision. And so, Kelly, you mentioned, certain criteria for patients. So, these patients is there people that can't use it, or you use it on everybody, or?
Yeah, we don't use it on everyone. If their cataract is bad enough to where they're 2100 or worse, they're not going to be able to see well in the VR headset anyways. Everything will look blurry to them no matter what lens they get to try on. Anyone with pretty significant macular pathology, again, these patients aren't, even if we're not doing GreenMan, they're not going to be a candidate for multifocal lens technology. But I think that's still, depending on the amount of astigmatism you have, sometimes we make exceptions for certain patients if we think it'll make a meaningful difference for them. So those I think would be the main ones. Patients who have a history of seizures, only because that's a requirement of the actual headset itself and not necessarily your guys's requirement or vision wise, I guess.
So basically, if you can drive yourself to the office, you can wear this headset.
Well, you'd be surprised at some of the patients that drive themselves.
Yeah, that's good point. I guess what I was saying is the big question Brandon and I get all the time is like, hey, how can you use this if the patient's already got cataract? And it's like, well, a lot of cataract patients are living a full life. They're hunting, golfing, fishing, driving, doing all that stuff. And so they can use VR. But Brandon, what if you've never used VR before? Can they?
Yeah, majority of our patients in our kind of trial studies where we were keeping close track of the data and figuring out who was using it, who wasn't, who valued it, and who didn't. Majority hadn't used it before. I don't think it's a prerequisite. It's pretty simple to put on and just exist in the environment. My favorite reaction is, wow, because it's such a neat thing to, see in 3D and be transported to a completely different environment than the exam room, right? And you're all of a sudden, maybe it's dark in the exam room, you put on this headset and it's bright in this little apartment, and it's wild then taking it off and people are like, oh, wow, okay, wow, that's I'm back to reality,
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. And so, Kelly, you mentioned where you use it. I think Brandon and I use it in a similar fashion, but the cool thing with this is you can use it the moment the patient walks in the door. Our ultimate dream would be like walking into a Apple store or choose your technology store, and they pick it up, put it on, and learn about it right when they walk in. But you can use it after the doctor sees them and goes through the options, or the counselor's talking to them, or they need to come back for another time. So it's really versatile of where you can put it and place it. And so we've had good experience with it. We've had a lot of fun with it, and keep fine tuning it a little bit. But the best part is you can customize it to each individual patient.